Netflix's Love is Blind always features some pretty interesting personality type dynamics. In today's video, we're going to be analyzing some of the spiciest misunderstandings in this most recent season, looking closely at the different personality types at play, and breaking down for you guys why I think some of these couples unfortunately did not work out, even though they clearly cared a lot about each other.
The best sex that I've ever had has been transcendental. And I could feel the pleasure that you're feeling. Yeah, I think you need a teacher is to awaken you.
Okay, so the first controversial person I really wanted to talk about with you guys is definitely Andrew. Most notably, Andrew went mini viral on social media for this clip where he was being interviewed.
Are you rolling?
And then he proceeds to pull out eye drops and put them all over his eyes to fake cry about how heartbroken and upset he is about Nancy breaking up with him.
I never thought I could care for someone that would bring me to tears. I guess it's a good moment for that. It's okay that I'm doing it.
Andrew, he was definitely an ENTJ personality type, but a sort of like over-the-top ENTJ that I think got a little too carried away with his extroverted thinking and introverted intuition.
Traveled the world, volunteered to wildlife conservation, things that I care about, spending my time and having the experiences that I want to have before I die.
He was clearly very strategic, very observant and purposeful, good at taking the emotion out of things in order to push towards his goals and outmaneuver the obstacles in front of him. All of those things, I don't think any of those things are bad things. Used in the right context, those are personality superpowers. However, in Love is Blind, I think Andrew is a great example of an ENTJ that accidentally got a little too tunnel visioned on his goal. His goal of progressing further in the show, looking very cool and confident and having success attracting Nancy. That along the way, he kept forgetting to check in with his introverted feeling personal values. A very important side of his personality type that would have helped him slow down and check in more with, does this actually feel right to me? Are the things that I'm doing to accomplish my goals, to push forward here, are they things I can actually sit with? Are they actually an authentic representation of who I am and what I stand for? Or am I just doing whatever,
It's okay that I'm doing it.
even if it includes doing the fake eye drops thing to make things happen?
I am impressed by his confidence of what he's accomplished, but this persona, Andrew is too cool, too calm, too collected.
You know, it's funny because Andrew clearly had this goal of wanting to be attractive and wanting to connect with Nancy, but in order to do that, he kept being detached, just listing out his accomplishments, when ironically, he probably would have been much more attractive to Nancy if he had softened up a bit, actually had been vulnerable, actually opened up and listened more to his introverted feelings so he could show up more authentically and be charming and intimate, but in a completely different way. Okay, next up we have to talk about Nancy and Bartise. Nancy, her personality pattern, she was definitely an ESFJ personality type. Really good with people shoulds, really good at adjusting herself to be conscientious of other people's emotional needs. She was always extremely clear and grounded and always had this I'm here for you, I'm really committed to you approach to things. And then on the other hand, we had Bartise, who's definitely an ESTP personality type. Very straightforward, doesn't like to speculate too much, definitely more on the open and spontaneous side. And he clearly had this personal, logical side that liked to filter out outside opinions and question outside expectations for himself. But at the same time, he clearly sometimes used extroverted feeling to smooth things over and be more harmonizing.
I want you to have fun. I want to be there having fun with you. I want you to be happy. I want to be the one to make you happy. And hopefully I can continue to make you happy for a long time.
It was actually sort of funny watching Nancy and Bartise interacting with each other because they both clearly used extroverted feeling and would just keep FEing each other over and over again.
Please take me back and please say I'm sorry.
You don't want to? No, I do. So good. The pink. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like always laughing a little extra loud, like ha 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 ha.
Oh my God, you ready, baby?
I almost cut my finger.
Making faces at each other to perform their feelings, to give their partner social and emotional pings to help them feel more connected. Zooming out, I think Nancy and Bartise both appreciated how they were both very people-conscious personality types and very clear and straightforward communicators, both in different ways and for different reasons, but those were qualities that I think they definitely shared. One of the main conflicts that Nancy and Bartise kept running into, though, was the very matter of matter-of-fact, honest, introverted thinking way that Bartise kept liking to share his feelings and thoughts about things. Let me show you an example of what I mean. So when everyone was going on blind dates with each other, Bartise had really connected with Nancy, but there was also a little bit of a connection with this other girl, Raven. Bartise ultimately decides Nancy's the girl for me. He proposes to her, but then later in the show, when all the different couples actually get to meet and see each other in real life, Bartise does notice that the other girl, Raven, is super attractive to him, which gives him a little internal dilemma that he wants to talk about with Nancy.
That's the opposite of what I experienced. I'd love to see anybody for the first time. Raven's like the typical girl that I would go after in the real world. She came down, she wearing the tight clothes. I was like, okay, she's a fucking smoke show.
In this clip, you can see Bartise, he's being very straightforward and just talking about what he was noticing and what he was thinking about.
Me and Raven connected in pods because we were so similar. And I literally cried because of you and Raven.
I didn't know that.
Something you'll always see with TP personality types is they do this thing where they like to think about what they're feeling. They tend to process their feelings in this very thinky, sort of detached way. Whoa, I think I'm feeling something. Why am I feeling that? What's the reasoning behind what I'm feeling? And does that make sense to pay attention to?
Nancy and Raven, I was like, fuck. I'm literally having feelings for multiple women right now.
In this clip, do you see how Bartise, he's talking about his feelings in this very honest, matter-of-fact way. He's being honest with himself about what am I actually feeling, and then trying to assess and figure out what he's feeling and what's important to him in this thinky, assessment, analysis way.
But you were up here, right? So I was like, damn, I have to trust my gut. And then here we are now.
You know, this clip, it's actually sort of interesting because you can actually see Bartise, he's smiling in this moment. He's feeling really free and comfortable and safe with Nancy, comfortable enough to open up and share his honest thoughts about things, which for a TP personality type is a big deal. It means that he feels safe enough with Nancy to share a side of him that he normally has to filter, hide, or water down with other people. Bartise here, he clearly is not at all intending to hurt Nancy. He feels like he's just talking about facts and freely sharing his authentic self. But from Nancy's perspective, an ESFJ, a strong extroverted feeler, it's received completely differently. From Nancy's perspective, someone that's always liking to check in with other people's feelings and needs, liking to think about how what she does and says affects other people. Bartise not checking in with her, paying attention to how she's feeling, it felt really hurtful, thoughtless, and isolating. Whoa, I thought we were on the same team.
Are you cool with me being that honest with you?
Mm-hmm.
See, that right there, that's when you can see Bartise's face change because he realizes, oh my gosh, I was just sharing my thoughts on things, but Nancy's actually really hurt. I forgot to check in. And then you can suddenly see him stop smiling, sort of question himself a bit, and then he just tries to smooth things over. Okay, now watch this clip from the next episode. It starts off sort of similar, but then transitions to show another way that they do not quite see things the same way.
You talked to Raven today. How was it?
Talking to Raven, it was good.
This time he's being a little smarter about how he says things.
Gorgeous girl. I told her this. I was like, listen, like on paper, me and you make sense. If you were to look at Raven, look at me, and we're at a bar, that would make sense.
It makes sense.
But if you compare that to me and your relationship, our connection was emotional. Our connection was fun. It was easy.
And then he's like, okay, did I do that correctly? And then now the topic suddenly comes up about, are they feeling good and sure about each other enough to marry? And this is what Bartise says.
My biggest fear, and this plays into the fact of us falling in love, which we have done. But in my previous relationships, I've fallen in love before, not on this level.
Do you see him again doing the personal assessment thing?
But in my previous relationships, that love has fizzled out. And I can't identify a reason. It's just I have lost interest in the girl that I was in love with.
Poor Nancy.
I feel like it's real, but I'm just worried that there might be a fizzle out aspect because we need to experience each other more, not in this beautiful fairy tale. You know what I'm saying?
What Bartise is saying here, it's actually extremely ESTP. Him going, this love, I know it's real, and I know this connection is special, but in order to really trust it, I need to see it more in real life. The thing I like paying attention to all the time, it's real life. It's what's going on around me in the moment. Stuff that I can actually interact with my senses. The future, it sometimes feels like an abstract idea to me. Thinking about it too much, speculating too much, can sometimes make me feel really freaked out or insecure. insecure. And so with this relationship, in order to not get freaked out, worrying that it might just peter out like some of the other ones, I'm really needing to test this out, see this more, experience this more in order to feel more sure.
If we held a wedding right here, right now, what do you think the answer would be?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see Bartise's face here? He's like, that doesn't make sense to me. How can you feel so sure about this if we just saw each other for the first time like a week ago? And then you can suddenly see him questioning it in a super TP personality type way.
Your answer right now would be yes?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Even though we've never gone through any challenges?
Yes.
You don't know how I handle any conflict?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna jump into this as open as we can.
Sign me up.
He's like, holy sh, that doesn't make any sense to me. Do you see his eyes? He's like, what?
I just want you.
And you can see him like processing it and trying to figure this out, going, is this the real deal? Is this next level love, or is this not making sense to me? What's actually going on here? You know, Bartise here, leaning in and holding her hand, going, okay, that really freaks me out, but I'll trust you. I'll keep moving forward with you. This is important to me, is actually really wholesome, thinking about it from a personality type perspective. Being vulnerable like this, especially when it involves his future and feelings that he hasn't fully processed yet, that's a big jump for him and a testament of how comforted and stabilized he feels being with Nancy, who's super grounded and dependable in the super ESFJ personality type way Nancy is. You know, in Nancy's defense, even though what she said might seem crazy at a glance, thinking about things more from a personality type perspective, thinking about how SJ personality types tend to like thinking things through and preparing for things, my guess would be that Nancy probably did a lot of pre-thinking before even signing up to the show, a lot of reflecting before even meeting Bartise about what marriage meant to her, the significance of it, what commitment and being engaged meant to her. And so from her perspective, she's probably like, Bartise, when you proposed and I said yes to you, I had already thought through what was important to me, the qualities about you that were special to me. Saying yes to you meant a lot to me. It meant I wanted to marry you and I wanted a future with you and I want to just work through whatever ups and downs come our way. Nancy, she was very connected to the idea of what marriage and commitment meant to her, and she was very grounded on those values and those principles. Whereas with Bartise, he's an ESTP that doesn't quite think about things in the same way. For him, just reflecting on what things mean to him, that's not very comforting. Sometimes that can feel overly speculative or just imaginary. Quick interruption before we continue. If you guys have been enjoying this more sort of fleshed out, in-depth discussion, I wanted to briefly talk with you guys about my Patreon, link down below in the description, where right now there's literally hours and hours of bonus content, learning material, extra analysis and reaction videos, including me reacting to Love is Blind Season 2 with Dear Kristen, as well as some parts of Season 3, all for right now just $10 a month. I think it's a pretty cool deal, and a lot of you guys will really enjoy the videos. As well, it is probably the best way to support the channel. For all of you guys already supporting me there every single month, it really makes a difference. Thank you guys so much. Anyways, I just wanted to tell you guys about it if you guys didn't already know about it. Thank you guys so much for listening and being here. Let's get right back into the video. So, as the season went on, Nancy and Bartise, they kept getting to know each other, and more of their differences, small ways that they weren't fully aligned yet, started stacking up.
The physical attraction is just not really there for me anymore. I'm having to second guess myself because should I be feeling that way? I'm not gonna fake it. I can't cover this problem with a blanket. It keeps coming up.
And Bartise, who's an ESTP, kept being quite realistic about things, paying attention to the things that weren't working yet right in front of him. Unfortunately though, whenever he was picking things apart, questioning things, and being honest with Nancy about what he was noticing, that would unfortunately sometimes really hurt, confuse, and disappoint Nancy, who really wanted Bartise to just step up and be more committed to her, feel more sure about her in the way she felt he was supposed to be if he had proposed to her. Why would you propose to me if you weren't sure about things? You proposing was supposed to mean something serious.
Said, hey, can I have a hug? And he said, you're so needy. And he was joking. But I was like, okay, like I know who I am and I'm gonna keep doing what I do and I'm gonna keep being the person that I am. If it was any other person, I never would have gave a but I think the fact that like this is a person who like made a promise to me, and, like a person who proposed, and I'm like, what the are you here for?
And then with Nancy, because she's an ESFJ, she kept jumping to give more and more of herself in hopes that that would fix the situation. I know my core values, I know I'm special, so I'm just gonna keep showing up, being myself, staying consistent, directing tons and tons of love and care towards Bartise. Maybe if Bartise sees just how much I love him, how I'm here for him no matter what, and how special our relationship is, he'll feel more sure about things and reciprocate more of the affection and commitment that I really, really want from him.
Most fun, loving, eye-opening, grateful experience of my life. There's nothing I would change because I got to experience this with you. These are all gifts from our story. The lint roller.
Those are all over here.
Y'all never seen me cry. This shit.
The tricky thing is though, is that Bartise, it wasn't that he didn't love Nancy. He saw how committed she was and how big the basically unconditional love she was directing towards him was.
I love that girl. She loves me so much. Little stuff is like what keeps you safe, what keeps you coming back. The toothpaste, because we had to share down the first night because I'm dumb and forgot toothpaste. Vitamins, literally every day she would say, "Did you take your vitamins, babe?" What a great girl she is.
Bartise knew how much Nancy cared about him and how special she was. At the same time though, you can see Bartise is scared and not feeling ready to get married the next day.
This whole experiment, this whole wedding and everything, it just feels so big. I've been so focused on trying to get through the negatives and through the problems, and I gotta go up there and figure out what I want to do for the rest of my fucking life.
Everything was moving fast. They did have differences and things had not fully been tested out. And especially for an ESTP, they can already have trouble sometimes trusting what hasn't happened, trusting patterns, trusting things that aren't clear in reality right in front of him. Making a huge decision like this that involves his long-term future, a bunch of real life things that haven't been tested out yet, and where he just has to sort of trust the patterns and go with it. This is exactly the type of thing that would really scare an ESTP.
Biggest fear I have is making the wrong decision, but I won't know it's the wrong decision until years down the road. So I'm living in the moment, I'm making my choice, and I'm living with that. I want this to be a one-time thing. Hey, I'm getting married, you're my wife forever, and there's no turning back. It's forever, it's forever. Hopefully it's forever.
And so very unfortunately, they go to the altar and Nancy, she gives a wholehearted yes.
I love you. I knew that I wanted you in my life.
Whereas Bartise, he says no.
If so, say I do.
I do not.
But what he actually means by no is not yet, I'm not ready, I don't want to fake how I'm feeling. It doesn't make sense to me to say I'm sure and that we have things figured out when that's not actually accurate or real.
What I've gone through in the real world with you and with your family and with everything that we talked about, there's no way for me in my head that it makes sense to get out there and say yes. We haven't gotten there for me yet. Didn't make sense for me to get here and be like, I wholeheartedly want to make Nancy Rodriguez my wife forever.
The huge oversight though was that he ESTP'd it. He sort of made the decision in the moment instead of giving Nancy some advance notice.
I didn't know what I was going to say coming into today. I made the decision that made the most sense. If I don't know, that's my answer.
So Nancy, poor Nancy, was completely blindsided.
I said it so many times. I really did love you so much. It was the promise that you made. You would not blindside me.
So Nancy's family, they really freak out, are extremely mad at Bartise in a way that's pretty impossible to recover from. And Bartise was like, this is exactly what I was talking about. We haven't sorted things out yet, but with a little more time.
Knowing what you just said about me being too much, would you rather me get on that altar and say yes to your daughter? There's no way that makes any sense. I'm sorry. We're here, we had our journey, and that journey can continue after today.
For Nancy though, getting blindsided in front of her family after all the things she had done, given, and expressed to Bartise beforehand, it really ESFJ meant and represented a lot of things to her and crossed the line.
I was ready to marry you for who you were, but at the end it was you who wasn't ready. For me, it's not, oh, maybe it'll work later. It's like, no, I chose you. You didn't choose me.
In the same way that before, she took Bartise's engagement quite seriously. It meant a lot of things to her. Bartise saying no at the altar, she also held on to and took quite seriously. It represented things to her. Him not valuing her, knowing her, or actually loving her the way she felt he was supposed to.
I said yes and you said no. Like, how is that not black and white? I'm not gonna backtrack. For what? Like, we're done.
I don't want a half-ass husband. Why would I want to be with someone who isn't sure about me?
There's no point to love someone who doesn't love me.
And Bartise, he had not thought it through, or at the very least, he didn't fully understand Nancy yet, her needs and expectations. And I think with all the love and care Nancy had given to him before, he had really not predicted that Nancy would completely end things there.
So that's crazy, honestly, to hear you say that, because like you just told me yes at the altar. So how can you flip the script so fast like that?
And you could see now he was blindsided and extremely heartbroken about it. Nancy and Bartise are a great example of two people who really cared about each other, but because they didn't fully understand each other's perspectives, needs, and differences, they kept accidentally hurting each other or missing each other in communication. At a glance, it's really easy to point a finger at both of them. This is Bartise's fault. This is Nancy's fault. Bartise, you're so insensitive, so clueless. You're such a jerk, so immature. You weren't good enough for Nancy. You weren't ready for Nancy. If you really knew and loved Nancy, why'd you blindside her? Why didn't you communicate yourself better? But then in the other direction, you could also say, Nancy, you're so idealistic. Some of your expectations, they were so black and white. They needed so much more nuance. And if you really knew and loved Bartise, why weren't you more accepting and understanding of the reasons why he wasn't fully sure, why he kept questioning things and wanting to communicate himself in the thinky, logical way he always did? With Nancy and Bartise, I thought it was really interesting seeing how they actually were both right and wrong about each other at the same time. These types of personality type dynamics and misunderstandings are something I really want to talk about more on this channel. If you want to talk about spicy, oh my gosh, I have so many thoughts on Cole and Zenob's huge relationship problems. Could you guys let me know in the comments below if you'd be interested in seeing that video? I'd love to put it together, but I'm also a little unsure what you guys think of these longer videos, or if only people who have seen Love is Blind would be interested in watching that. As always, thanks for watching and supporting the channel. If you guys want to see me reacting to Love is Blind Season 2, you can find that on Patreon, link down below in the description. Catch you guys in the next one. You are the change maker of your own life. Let's think more deeply. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, bye.